Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we've got a great informative lesson for you.
That's right. We are going to talk about an emergency situation. So what do you do when you have an emergency?
You dial 911.
Exactly.
All right, well, maybe not in your country, but today we're talking about emergencies in America and jobs, so people who can help you in an emergency. So before we get into those words and phrases, let's take a listen to today's dialogue.
All right, class, now that we're all dressed up, let's see what professions you chose. I see a fireman, a police officer, a medic, and a lifeguard. Can anyone tell me what these people have in common?
They save people from bad things?
That's right! Now, class, if something bad happened and you had to get help, do you know what phone number you would call?
911.
Yes! You would pick up the phone and dial 911. What are some emergency situations in which you would need to dial 911?
If my grandpa had a heart attack. If there was an accident. If a robber broke into the house. If the fire alarm went off. I wouldn't call 911 if the fire alarm went off in my house. The only time that ever happens is when we're having spaghetti for supper and my mom burns the garlic bread as usual.
All right, we're back. So now we have a couple of different jobs for people that are working specifically in emergency situations. So let's take a look at those now in Language Takeaway.
Language Takeaway.
All right, so we have a teacher in today's dialogue who's talking to her students about jobs. So probably these students are very young, and she says another word that means jobs. What's the word she uses?
Professions.
Professions. That's the plural. So profession is a job. Let's say, for example, a lawyer is a profession.
Or a doctor.
A doctor, a lawyer. So what's your profession is another way to ask, what's your job?
All right. So they're talking about professions, and some of the kids dressed up as different people. The first one was a fireman.
A fireman. So you know the first word, fire. A fireman is a person who puts out a fire. That means he uses water to stop a fire.
Oh, very good. So a fireman puts out fires. Now, apart from a fireman, we also have a police officer.
A police officer. So an officer is someone who works in an official capacity, so in a job. So we could say he is a police officer or a policeman or a policewoman.
Okay.
So 3 ways to say this.
So officer is for both genders, right? A man or a woman could be a police officer.
That's right. So you're going to hear this very often because policeman doesn't explain a woman police officer. So we use police officer to be general.
Okay. So we have a fireman, a police officer, a medic. Now, what is this medic?
A medic is a kind of doctor, someone who will look at your health or help you if you've hurt yourself, who usually works on the road, like driving to an accident or driving to a fire with police officers. So these people help police officers and firemen when there's an emergency.
Okay. So a medic is not really a doctor. He's more of a specific person that can help you if you have maybe some cuts or bruises, or will help you out.
Right, so this person will stop your bleeding or will help take you to the hospital, and they'll make sure that you're healthy when you get to the hospital. But they are not really like a doctor where you work in a hospital or a doctor's office.
Okay. And our last profession is a lifeguard.
Well, think about these 2 words. We have life and we have guard. Guard is like protect.
So a person that protects your life.
Interesting. Well, this is someone who usually works at the beach or at a pool. They have a special chair, and usually they have a cross on their bathing suit or on their towel. And this means that they're going to help protect people who are at the beach. So if someone can't swim, the lifeguard will run or swim to get them and save them.
Okay, very good. So you have a lifeguard. Now, this is for men and women as well, right? A lifeguard.
Exactly.
Okay. So interesting professions. Why don't we listen to our dialogue again, and we'll be back shortly.
All right, class, now that we're all dressed up, let's see what professions you chose. I see a fireman, a police officer, a medic, and a lifeguard. Can anyone tell me what these people have in common?
They save people from bad things?
That's right! Now, class, if something bad happened and you had to get help, do you know what phone number you would call?
911.
Yes! You would pick up the phone and dial 911. What are some emergency situations in which you would need to dial 911?
If my grandpa had a heart attack.
If there was an accident.
If a robber broke into the house.
If the fire alarm went off.
I wouldn't call 911 if the fire alarm went off in my house. The only time that ever happens is when we're having spaghetti for supper and my mom burns the garlic bread as usual.
All right, we're back. So now let's start with Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Our first item in Fluency Builder we've already talked about. The number in America to call when you have an emergency is 911. So we usually say, hey, dial 911.
Okay, so that's a verb there, to dial.
Exactly. To dial means to select the numbers for a phone call, to telephone someone.
To telephone someone, to dial. So you can dial 911 or dial my office number.
Or I tried to dial your home number, but no one answered.
Okay. Now, you can call 911 for many different situations or emergency. One of the kids said, well, if my grandpa had a heart attack.
Okay, so this is an example of an emergency. A heart attack is a medical problem. It's when your heart cannot receive oxygen.
Okay, so your heart stops beating sometimes.
That's right. Sorry. It's when your heart does not receive enough blood or oxygen, so it's when your heart stops beating.
Okay, very good. So that's a heart attack. Now, another possible emergency situation is if the fire alarm goes off.
This often happens in office buildings and schools. So you hear a tee or
Right.
some kind of strange noise. Well, that's because there's maybe a fire or some smoke in your building. And so usually when this sound goes off, it automatically calls the police and the fire department.
Okay. Now, there's an interesting phrasal verb that is used along with this word fire alarm. We say the fire alarm goes off or the fire alarm went off. So that means it started to sound, to emit a sound.
So the verb here, as you said, it's a phrasal verb, is to go off. To go off. We could say my alarm went off. Or every morning at 7 o'clock, my alarm goes off.
Okay, that means your alarm begins to make a sound.
A very annoying sound.
Right.
You know, it's the worst sound ever. But a lot of things can go off. We could talk about a bell or an alarm
Or fireworks.
Fireworks go off.
Okay. And, well, the last emergency that we were talking about is if a robber broke into the house. So if a robber breaks in.
To break into. This means to enter, to go inside without permission or without a key. Illegally. So you don't have to break something, but usually you break a window or a door. But this means that someone comes into your house looking to steal something.
So usually you have to use force. For example, if I forget my keys inside my car and I have to break into my own car, that means maybe I have to force the door open or maybe break the window.
Yeah, it's not fun. I think it usually ends up being very expensive.
Yes, it does. All right, so those are all the phrases we have for today. Why don't we listen to our dialogue for the very last time?
Alright, class, now that we're all dressed up, let's see what professions you chose. I see a fireman, a police officer, a medic, and a lifeguard. Can anyone tell me what these people have in common?
They save people from bad things?
That's right! Now, class, if something bad happened and you had to get help, do you know what phone number you would call?
911.
Yes! You would pick up the phone and dial 911. What are some emergency situations in which you would need to dial 911?
If my grandpa had a heart attack. If there was an accident. If a robber broke into the house. If the fire alarm went off. I wouldn't call 911 if the fire alarm went off in my house. The only time that ever happens is when we're having spaghetti for supper and my mom burns the garlic bread as usual.
So, Marco, when you were a kid and your teacher said, what jobs are there? What professions are there? What profession would you like? What did you answer?
I always wanted to be a pilot.
Oh, pilot. So you wanted to fly airplanes.
Yeah, I wanted to be a jet pilot. Actually, I collected books about it. I read up about it. So even till now, I probably still remember like the capacity of certain jets or what types of weapons they have. I was really, really into it.
Wow. I never knew this about you.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, I could never decide as a kid. I remember we had to draw pictures of what I will look like in 20 years. And everyone had these pictures. I will be a doctor. I'll be a veterinarian. I'll be the president. I never knew what to draw. So, I think I copied my friend. She wanted to be a lawyer. And I thought, okay, that sounds okay.
Yeah, I think it's hard. And usually what you want to be as a kid, you don't do it when you're older. I couldn't do it because of my vision. I didn't have 20/20 vision to actually join the Air Force. So
well, and a lot of kids don't know how many jobs there are out there. You know the big ones: doctor, lawyer, fireman, policeman, astronaut.
Right.
So I guess the question for you is, what's your profession? Tell us about it, especially if it's one of the less famous professions out there, because there's a lot that I don't know about those. Our website is englishpod.com. We hope to see you there, and until next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
To put on fancy dress or a disguise. Dress up. An occupation requiring special training. Profession. Person who puts out fires and rescues people. Fireman. Policeman or policewoman. Police officer. Person who protects people from drowning. Lifeguard. To press the buttons to make a telephone call. Dial. To enter a house illegally, especially by force. Break into. To ring or sound loudly. Go off. Person who robs or steals. Robber. Painful condition where the heart stops beating. Heart attack.
Take up by hand. Pick up.
Let's try that faster.
Painful condition where the heart stops beating. Heart attack. To enter a house illegally, especially by force. Break into. Person who puts out fires and rescues people. Fireman. To ring or sound loudly. Go off. An occupation requiring special training. Profession.
Take up by hand. Pick up.
Policeman or policewoman. Police officer. Person who protects people from drowning. Lifeguard. To put on fancy dress or a disguise. Dress up. To press the buttons to make a telephone call. Dial. Person who robs or steals. Robber.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Dress up.
I dressed up as a policeman for Halloween.
Dress up.
There was an event this weekend where all the guests had to dress up as angels.
Dress up.
I think it's cute when children dress up for Halloween. Pick up. If you have an emergency, pick up the phone and call the police. Pick up. Pick up these toys from the ground. Pick up. I dropped my pencil. Can you bend over and pick it up for me, please?
Dial.
Pick up the phone and dial this number.
Dial.
I wanted to dial, but I couldn't remember the number.
Dial.
It's hard for me to dial a number on this phone. The buttons are too small.
Break into.
We had a break-in last weekend.
Break into.
The thief broke in the apartment and stole the TV.
Break into.
I had to break into my own car last night because I forgot the keys inside.
Go off.
My car alarm goes off whenever someone gets near my car.
Go off.
The fire alarm went off in our school today.
Go off.
My alarm clock goes off every morning at 6.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another lesson here at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine. So, Marco, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about a very interesting topic. You've probably seen it on every TV show or American movie, and it's a bachelor party.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I've heard bad things.
Bad things about a bachelor party. Well, they can be fun, but at times they can be a little bit too excessive, too much. But before we get started on the dialogue, why don't we take a look at vocabulary preview?
Vocabulary preview.
Well, the first word we've got here is the topic of today. This is the bachelor party. So what is a bachelor exactly?
Right. Well, a bachelor is a person who is not married. A single person. A single guy specifically, right?
All right. So it's a man.
Man.
Before he's married.
Right. So for women, you would say a bachelorette.
Okay, bachelor is a guy and a bachelorette is a girl. And so we don't really say bachelorette except when we're talking about this party.
Right. So a bachelor party is a party that a guy has the day before he's married or maybe 2 or 3 days before he actually gets married. So it's a night where all his friends get together, they go out, they have some drinks, they have some fun, and just like the last extreme fun he will have before he gets married.
All right, and so it's all his guy friends.
All his guy friends. Only guys, no girls.
And the bachelorette party is only girls, and it's when a girl's friends take her out before she gets married to celebrate her last night or two of being unmarried.
Right, exactly. So not only guys' parties can get a little bit crazy, but girls' bachelorette parties can also get kind of crazy, right?
That's true. So before we start talking about what exactly goes on at some of these parties, let's take a listen to today's dialogue and hear what happens to our main characters.
Hi, honey. You'll never guess what. My friends Julie and Alex are getting married.
Wow, that's great news. They're a great couple.
I know. Anyways, I just talked to Alex's best man, and he is organizing the bachelor party. It's gonna be so much fun. All the groomsmen are thinking up all the wacky and crazy things we're going to do that night.
You aren't going to a strip club, are you? I don't want you getting a lap dance from some stripper with the excuse that it's your friend's party.
Ah, come on. It's just some innocent fun. You know how these things are. We're going to play drinking games, get them some gag gifts, and just have a good time. Nothing too over the top.
Well, I don't know.
Come on. If one of your friends was getting married, I wouldn't mind you going to her bachelorette party.
Good, because my friend Wendy's getting married, and I'm organizing her party.
What?
All right, great. So apparently both of them have parties to go to, but I don't think the guy was too happy about it.
I don't think so either. And that's the funny thing. I think a lot of girls are like, oh, well, my husband-to-be, he wants to have a party. It's okay. But the minute the girl wants to have the party, the guy is like, no way.
That's true. I guess... But we can talk a little bit more about this towards the end. Before we start on this really interesting topic, why don't we take a look at some of the language on Language Takeaway?
Language takeaway.
Well, Marco, the first few words are actually more wedding terms than bachelor party terms. The first one is best man.
Right, the best man. So the best man is... Who is he exactly?
He's usually the groom's best friend. So the groom is the man getting married, and his best friend has the position of best man. So he has some special things to do at the wedding. He has to make a speech, for example, and he has to stand next to his friend when the friend gets married.
Right.
And it's just a very special position of honor that the best friend has in his friend's wedding.
Okay, and among those responsibilities, the best man is usually the one that has to organize the bachelor party, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so best man. And, well, the rest of the groom's friends are also present at the wedding, and they are called the groomsmen.
All right, so groomsmen. And so usually these are maybe 3 to 5 guys, 3 to 5 men who are friends of the groom or brother of the bride. It depends on the wedding. And they stand with the man when he gets married. And so they kind of have a lot of responsibilities as well.
Okay, and the groomsmen usually are also present at the bachelor party.
Exactly.
All right. Now moving on to a bit more colorful language. We have a place here, a strip club.
Okay, so sometimes you see these in movies oftentimes, or for example, the TV show The Sopranos. This is often a place where Tony Soprano goes. A strip club is a club. It's like a bar that's open most of the day and night, where there are women who take their clothes off for money.
All right, so you have the verb to strip, right? A strip club. So the verb to strip means to take off or leave without something.
Right, so you can strip off your clothes.
So it's usually used with clothes, right? To take off clothes, to strip. So you have a strip club, and in the strip club, you have as you mentioned, the girls that are dancing and taking off their clothes. They are called strippers.
Okay, so stripper is a person who takes off their clothes as their job. And you can have male strippers or female strippers.
True.
So usually just saying stripper is a woman, and a male stripper is actually a guy.
Okay, so you have this club that's very common in many countries, and, well, the strippers are dancing, and now they also talked about getting a lap dance.
Okay, now this is getting a little bit, a little dirty. Lap is it's not really a part of your body, but when you sit down in a chair, your lap is the tops of your legs, so you can... you can hold something in your lap, like your backpack.
Or maybe, for example, if you have a child that's 3 or 4 years old, you would sit him on your lap, right, on your legs while you're sitting down, maybe in the subway.
Right, or a laptop computer is the kind of computer you can hold
on your lap. So a lap dance is when one of the female strippers comes and kind of dances on your lap.
Exactly, and so it's a sexy dance. You pay for it extra, and it's something that is very popular with young men and people who, these grooms and groomsmen before the groom gets married.
Right. All right. And moving on, we have the last word for today, gag gifts.
All right, gag gifts are joke gifts. They're meant to be funny. They're not meant to be serious.
Right.
And they're very popular at these kinds of bachelor parties and bachelorette parties. One kind of gag gift that's just very silly is like a whoopee cushion.
Right.
It's like a balloon you put on someone's seat, and when they sit down, It makes a farting sound.
Right. So those are gag gifts. Anything that's kind of to joke around. It's not really useful. It's not like giving somebody a T-shirt, right?
Right. Or a gift card is a nice gift. It's not. It's not a gag gift.
Right. So there are a lot of different types of gag gifts, and actually some of them are pretty good and funny, like like spicy chewing gum or the electric shocker.
Oh yeah.
When you shake somebody's hand.
That's really funny. Yeah.
All right, so we've taken a look at a lot of words on language takeaway. So let's listen to this dialogue again, and we'll be right back with Fluency Builder.
Hi, honey. You'll never guess what. My friends Julie and Alex are getting married.
Wow, that's great news. They're a great couple.
I know. Anyways, I just talked to Alex's best man, and he is organizing the bachelor party. It's going to be so much fun. All the groomsmen are thinking up all the wacky and crazy things we're going to do that night.
You aren't going to a strip club, are you? I don't want you getting a lap dance from some stripper with the excuse that it's your friend's party.
Ah, come on. It's just some innocent fun. You know how these things are. We're going to play drinking games, get him some gag gifts, and just have a good time. Nothing too over the top.
Well, I don't know.
Come on. If one of your friends was getting married, I wouldn't mind you going to her bachelorette party.
Good, because my friend Wendy's getting married, and I'm organizing her party.
What?
All right, we're back. So now let's look at some of the phrases that were used in this dialogue on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so at the beginning of this dialogue, we meet this couple, this man and woman, and the guy says, "Hey, honey, you'll never guess what."
All right.
Okay, my friends are getting married. So what does this mean? You'll never guess what?
It's just a phrase that you would use to give really, really important or exciting news. It's like, guess what?
Oh, okay, so you'll never guess what happened to me.
Right.
I won the lottery.
Right. It's so amazing or it's so uncommon or unusual that you would probably never guess that person won the lottery.
Okay, so you'll never guess what.
Right. You'll never guess what. Or you can say, guess what? I won the lottery.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. And our second phrase, you know how these things are.
Okay, so this is a phrase that people often use when they want to remind someone that this is tradition or this is a habit. It's a common thing. And so oftentimes when people are having problems at work and they say, oh gosh, this person's just not listening to me, someone to help them out will say, you know how these things are. It takes some time to resolve a problem. Mm-hmm. Or you could say, oh gosh, this is going to be a horrible party. I don't want you guys to go to a strip club. It's so dirty.
Right.
And you'd say, well, you know how these things are. It's tradition.
You have to do it.
You have to do it.
Right. So this is what he meant, right? You know how these things are. It's like, I don't really have a choice. It's a tradition. This is what guys do when they're going to get married. So we have to do it.
It's almost like saying, don't worry about it. There's really
nothing to worry about. All right. And our last phrase is something that we never want to happen, something to be over the top.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing, okay?
Right.
So we could say that it was a really ridiculous party. It was really over the top. They had a clown and they had people dressed up like Star Trek characters. Something that is more than normal. It's almost silly the way that it's all just kind of crazy and... yeah, it's too much in every way.
Right. So it can be something bad, like, for example, someone's behavior was over the top. It was too much. It was too intense.
Or like, oh my gosh, did you see her coat? It's really over the top. It's like purple with sprinkles on it.
Right. So it can be used in different ways, but it usually means it's excessive. It's too much.
Exactly.
All right. So some interesting phrases on this occasion as well. Let's listen to our dialogue for the last time, and we'll be back.
Hi, honey. You'll never guess what. My friends Julie and Alex are getting married.
Wow, that's great news. They're a great couple.
I know. Anyways, I just talked to Alex's best man, and he is organizing the bachelor party. It's going to be so much fun. All the groomsmen are thinking up all the wacky and crazy things we're going to do that night.
You aren't going to a strip club, are you? I don't want you getting a lap dance from some stripper with the excuse that it's your friend's party.
Ah, come on. It's just some innocent fun. You know how these things are. We're gonna play drinking games, get them some gag gifts, and just have a good time. Nothing too over the top.
Well, I don't know.
Come on. If one of your friends was getting married, I wouldn't mind you going to her bachelorette party.
Good, because my friend Wendy's getting married and I'm organizing her party.
What?
All right, we're back. So bachelor and bachelorette parties. Have you ever been to a bachelorette party?
I have not yet, but one of my closest friends is getting married in a couple of weeks. And so I will be attending and helping organize a bachelor party.
So do you have anything in mind?
Nothing I can talk about. These things are meant to be surprises oftentimes, so I don't want to spoil it. But I will tell you that my boyfriend just organized a bachelor party for his best friend. He was the best man in the wedding.
Oh, okay.
And it was very crazy.
Oh, really? Did they also go to Vegas and do some of these things that we saw in the dialogue?
They didn't go to Vegas, but they did some of the things we heard about in today's dialogue. They went to a strip club. They got lap dances. They drank a lot. It was very over the top.
And I think this is something that most of our listeners probably have seen in TV shows or in movies or in different type of exposure of American culture, which is it's actually very, very common in Canada, the United States. I'm not really sure about Europe or
England. It is too.
Really,
my friend said that his friend was getting married and they all went to Portugal for a week.
Wow.
To have a bachelor party, and I heard something about mud wrestling.
Wow. Well, I guess it's different in every country, and this is the interesting part. We want to know how these things are in your country. Do you have any traditions or any fun stuff that you do before the wedding, maybe after? I don't know.
What about Ecuador?
We don't really have strip clubs, actually. So it's
that makes it easy.
Yeah. So we usually just do what we do every night. Just go out with friends, drink and dance, play the guitar, or maybe some gag gifts or some prank that we pull on the groom, but nothing too over the top. So yeah, we're really interested in knowing how it is in your country, so come to englishpod.com, leave your questions, comments, and we'll see you guys next time.
Until then, bye everyone.
Bye-bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
You won't believe. You will never guess. The principal groomsman at a wedding. Best man. You don't know what news I have. You will never guess. A party held for a man that is getting married. Bachelor party. A male friend who attends a bridegroom at his wedding. Groomsman. Absurdly or amusingly eccentric or irrational. Wacky. Funny or adult type toys or gifts. Gag gift. Extreme, excessive. Over the top. An unmarried woman. Bachelorette.
Let's try that faster.
A party held for a man that is getting married. Bachelor party. You won't believe. You will never guess. A male friend who attends a bridegroom at his wedding. Groomsman. Absurdly or amusingly eccentric or irrational. Wacky. An unmarried woman. Bachelorette. Extreme, excessive. Over the top. You don't know what news I have. You will never guess. The principal groomsman at a wedding. Best man. Funny or adult type toys or gifts. Gag gift.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
You will never guess. You'll never guess who I just saw at the supermarket. Brad Pitt! You will never guess. You'll never guess what just happened to me. I won the lottery. You will never guess. You'll never guess how late I stayed at work until last night. 11 p.m. Bachelor party. For many men, a bachelor party is a way to say goodbye to having a free life. Bachelor party. Often, it's the best man who arranges the bachelor party. Bachelor party. His fiancée is really against the idea of a bachelor party. Over the top. Those purple jeans are just over the top. Over the top. I'm not looking for anything too over the top, just a nice quiet evening with friends. Over the top. Did you see his mohawk? It's really over the top. Gag gift. They don't like to take birthdays too seriously, so they always buy each other gag gifts. Gag gift. I love shopping for gag gifts. They're always so silly. Gag gift. He didn't want a serious gift, so I just got him a whoopee cushion as a gag gift. Best man. He doesn't know if he should choose his brother or his best friend to be his best man. Best man. At American weddings, the best man traditionally gives a toast to the bride and groom. Best man. The best man has many responsibilities at a wedding, some say even more than the groom himself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we have an elementary level lesson about food, one of my favorite things to talk about.
That's right. We are going to talk about food, but specifically, we're going to talk about a family barbecue.
Okay, what is a family barbecue? Well, I'll just say a few words first. A barbecue is usually something that we do outside. We bring food, we play games, maybe have some drinks, and a lot of the food is grilled. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're talking about today. We're going to hear this dialogue first, and then we'll come back to talk about it.
Is everything ready for the big family barbecue tomorrow?
Yep, the steaks and chicken are marinated, and I also bought hamburger buns.
We should also cook a couple dozen hot dogs and kebabs.
Yeah, good idea. We could put some lawn furniture outside next to the grill. I also set up the tent outside so we can hide from the sun if it gets too hot.
Great! I asked Grace to bring cups and serviettes, as she is also bringing 2 big coolers for the beers.
This is going to be a great barbecue.
Oh no, it's raining!
All right, we're back. So probably a couple of words you didn't really understand. So let's take a look at those now in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Lots of food words, Marco. The first one is barbecue. We were talking about that a minute ago. A barbecue is something we do usually for something, a special occasion or for dinner. It's a summertime thing. You know, you go outside when it's warm and the entire family comes and we have food. Sometimes people even bring food.
Right. And actually, as you mentioned, it's something that you do a barbecue. You have a family barbecue, but it's also a verb to barbecue something. So to cook meat on a barbecue. So that's cooking meat, not in a stove, not with gas. Usually it's under a fire or very warm, intense heat coming from coals.
Exactly. And so before we cook food, usually before we cook meat on the grill, before we barbecue it, we have to marinate it, okay? So in this situation, the steaks and the chicken are already marinated.
Okay, so to marinate something, which is a verb, or the steaks and chickens are marinated, which is an adjective. So basically means that you have added spices and maybe some lemon juice, different herbs or salts to the meats in order to give it flavor before you cook them.
Exactly. Sometimes in Indian cooking, for example, you marinate with a yogurt sauce and you leave the meat in the refrigerator for a whole night.
Exactly.
So marinating or to marinate is a process to give flavor to food.
Very good. All right, so we've marinated our food, our chicken, our steaks, but also we have hamburgers. So we need hamburger buns. What are buns?
Okay, buns are pieces of bread that are for special kinds of food. So you have a hamburger bun. It's a round piece of bread, and the hamburger goes on one piece and under another piece. A hot dog bun is different. It's like a piece of bread that's folded, and the hot dog goes in the middle. So bun is a special kind of bread for these kinds of foods.
All right, so remember, if you want to have a hot dog, you need to buy hot dog buns. So people know already that you're talking about bread. And if you want to buy a hamburger bread, you say a hamburger bun.
That's right. So hamburger buns and hot dog buns. But after we talk about having the hamburger buns, we discuss how many hot dogs we're going to cook. So the person says we should cook a couple dozen hot dogs.
All right, so a dozen is 12 units of something.
Right, so eggs are sold in dozens. We buy a dozen eggs, we buy 12 eggs.
Okay, or you can say half a dozen, that means 6.
Half of 12. And a couple dozen is usually around 24, 25.
Okay, very good. So a dozen hot dogs, and they are also getting kebabs. What are kebabs?
One of my favorite foods. Kebabs are sticks or skewers of meat. So you have a very thin stick, and you put the meat on it, and you put that on the grill, and you cook the meat on the grill.
So, yeah, those are very common. For example, in the Middle East, right? You have kebabs, sticks of meat, and also maybe some vegetables put on it, and you grill them.
Exactly. Very flavorful, very tasty meat.
All right, so why don't we listen to our dialogue again, and we'll come back shortly to look at some more words.
Is everything ready for the big family barbecue tomorrow?
Yep, the steaks and chicken are marinated, and I also bought hamburger buns.
We should also cook a couple dozen hot dogs and kebabs.
Yeah, good idea. We could put some lawn furniture outside next to the grill. I also set up the tent outside so we can hide from the sun if it gets too hot.
Great! I asked Grace to bring cups and serviettes, as she is also bringing 2 big coolers for the beers.
This is going to be a great barbecue.
All right, we're back. So now why don't we go to a second part of language takeaway and take a look at 5 more words.
Language takeaway.
All right, the first word that we're going to look at is lawn furniture. So we're going to have lawn furniture outside.
Okay, so before we even start thinking about food, we have to decide where people will sit at this barbecue. And so we have to find out how much lawn furniture we have. Furniture can be a sofa, a table, a chair. We have furniture in the house, but lawn furniture is furniture for the outside. A lawn is the green grass outside your house.
So it's usually not going to be made out of wood, for example, because if it rains, it might get ruined, right? So usually it's either plastic or maybe even rock or stone.
Or metal.
Or metal. So that's what lawn furniture is. Furniture that is made to be outside in your backyard, for example, or that sits on your lawn.
Exactly. And so we're going to be on the lawn furniture. We have the special thing for cooking meat outside, the grill.
Okay, so we mentioned that you grill chicken or you grill steaks, but it's also a noun, a grill. So a grill, what is that?
A grill is like a stove for the outside, but instead of having electricity to make the fire, we have gas or propane. And this is something that we light on fire, and we use coals to keep the insides very warm. And so this is just a way to cook meats or even vegetables outside.
Okay, perfect. So that is a grill. And if you're going to cook foods or vegetables in this way, so you're going to grill them. All right. And, well, just in case it gets hot and you want to hide from the sun, we are going to set up a tent.
Okay, a tent You can sleep in a tent, but in this case, a tent is just a covering outside. So maybe some cloth or some fabric that will stand over us when we sit down or want to be outside. It's also a way to protect us from the rain.
Right. So as you mentioned, a tent is something that you set up temporarily made out of cloth or plastic to protect you from the sun or rain. Or if you're going camping, you sleep in one. All right. And now that they have all the food, they need cups. And then they mentioned this strange word. It kind of sounds French. Serviettes.
Serviettes. So I do think it comes from the French word. This is a British way of saying napkins.
Napkin.
It's like paper for cleaning your hands and cleaning your mouth that you throw away.
Okay, so you can say napkins, or if you want to sound a little bit more fancier, you can say serviettes.
And speaking of fancy, let's talk about beer. Where do we keep beer? It has to stay cold, right?
Right. So usually you would place it in a refrigerator, but if you're outside or you're going camping, you want to keep them cold or you want to keep something hot. You place it in a cooler.
Okay, so a cooler is a plastic bin or a plastic box that we put all of the ice in and the drinks. So it's not just for beer, it's also for Coke and Sprite and all these different drinks.
Right, so it's usually made to keep something cool, but as I said, if you want to keep something warm, you can also keep it in the cooler. It keeps the temperature of the foods.
And the nice thing is that it's not electric, so you can use it anywhere.
Right. All right, so that's all the words for today. Why don't we listen to our dialogue for the last time?
Is everything ready for the big family barbecue tomorrow?
Yep, the steaks and chicken are marinated, and I also bought hamburger buns.
We should also cook a couple dozen hot dogs and kebabs.
Yeah, good idea. We could put some lawn furniture outside next to the grill. I also set up the tent outside so we can hide from the sun if it gets too hot.
Great! I asked Grace to bring cups and serviettes, as she is also bringing 2 big coolers for the beers.
This is going to be a great barbecue.
Oh no, it's raining!
All right, we're back. So family barbecues and doing these things. Did you do these when you were young at home? Do you still like to do it?
All the time. I love barbecues. It's one of my favorite ways to eat food. The nice thing about a barbecue is you get to sit outside and relax, and there's nothing better than nice, fresh grilled meat.
Right, and well, you have all your friends over, so you're having a couple of beers and you're having some meat, and it's actually a really nice way of just having something at home with good friends and family, right?
Exactly, and some of the most important barbecues we have are in the summer near July 4th. And so people like to have July 4th barbecues where you celebrate Independence Day and sit outside and drink and have hot dogs and hamburgers and macaroni and cheese.
Actually, well, I was in Chile. I noticed that as well. Near their festivities for their independence, which is September 18th, a lot of people get together and have barbecues, and it's so popular that pretty much every house in the neighborhood you can smell somebody barbecuing on the weekend.
You're making me so hungry.
Food, a deep dive into a basic need. Food is one of the most essential parts of human life. It is not just a source of energy, but also a way to experience culture, celebrate traditions, and build connections with others. In this topic, we will explore food from different angles, its types, its role in our lives, and how to talk about it in English. This will help English learners improve their vocabulary, sentence construction, and understanding of the topic. What is food? Food refers to substances that people and animals eat or drink to sustain life, promote growth, and maintain health. It is a combination of nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals, which are necessary for the body to function properly. Categories of food. 1. Natural foods. These are foods that come directly from nature. They are not processed or altered. Examples include fruits, apples, oranges, berries. Vegetables, broccoli, spinach, carrot. Nuts and seeds, almonds, peanuts, sunflower seeds. Grains, wheat, rice, oats. 2. Processed foods. Processed foods are altered during preparation. They may include added sugar, salt, or preservatives. Examples are bread, canned soup, packaged snacks. 3. Cooked foods. Cooking changes the texture, flavor, and digestibility of food. Common cooking methods include boiling, baking, grilling, frying. Meals of the day. Meals are the structured times when people eat. Understanding the names and purposes of meals is essential. 1. Breakfast. The first meal of the day, typically eaten in the morning. A healthy breakfast might include eggs and toast, cereal with milk, fresh fruit. 2. Lunch. Lunch is usually eaten in the early afternoon. It is often lighter than dinner but still filling. Examples of lunch foods: sandwiches, salads, rice with chicken. 3. Dinner. Dinner is the main meal of the day, often eaten in the evening. Common dinner dishes include pasta with sauce, roasted meat with vegetables, soup and bread. 4. Snacks. Snacks are smaller meals eaten between the main meals. They are often light and easy to prepare, such as a granola bar, a piece of fruit. Nuts. The role of food in culture. Food plays an important role in expressing culture and identity. Every country and community has dishes that are unique to them. For example, Italy, pizza and spaghetti. Japan, sushi and tempura. Mexico, tacos and enchiladas. Food can also be a symbol of celebration. Think about birthday cakes, holiday feasts, or traditional wedding meals. Talking about food in English. Here are some useful phrases and sentences expressing preferences. What is your favorite food? Example, my favorite food is sushi. Do you like spicy food? Example, yes, I love spicy food. Describing food. How does it taste? Example, it tastes sweet and creamy. Is it healthy? Example, yes, it is rich in vitamins. Asking about meals. What do you usually eat for breakfast? Example, I usually eat cereal and a banana. Can you recommend a good restaurant? Example, yes, try the Italian place near the park. Healthy eating. Eating healthy is important for a good life. A balanced diet includes 1. Proteins found in meat, fish, eggs, and beans. 2. Carbohydrates found in rice, bread, and pasta. 3. Fats found in nuts, avocados, and oils. 4. Vitamins and minerals found in fruits and vegetables. Unhealthy foods like chips and candy are okay occasionally, but should not be eaten every day. Cooking vocabulary. Knowing how to talk about cooking is useful. Here are some words and phrases. Ingredients, the items needed to make a dish. Example, the ingredients for a cake are flour, sugar, eggs, and butter. Recipe, instructions on how to prepare a dish. Utensils, tools used for cooking like spoons, knives, and pans. Advanced vocabulary for food. For intermediate learners, let's practice some higher-level words. Cuisine, the style of cooking from a particular country. Example, French cuisine is famous for its desserts. Flavor, the taste of food. Example, this soup has a rich flavor. Texture, how food feels when you eat it. Example, the bread is soft, but the crust is crunchy. Fun facts about food. 1. Carrots were originally purple, not orange. 2. Honey never spoils. It can last forever. 3. Bananas are berries, but strawberries are not. 4. The most popular fruit in the world is the mango. Practice questions. 1. What is your favorite dish and why? 2. Can you describe a meal you ate recently? 3. Do you prefer home-cooked food or restaurant food? Conclusion. Food is more than just what we eat. It connects us to each other, gives us energy, and helps us learn about the world. By talking about food in English, you can expand your vocabulary and improve your speaking skills. What foods do you enjoy? Try describing them in English.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
A meal cooked out of doors, over an open fire. Barbecue. Be soaked in marinade. Marinate. A group of 12. Dozen. Pieces of roasted meat, fish, and vegetables on a skewer. Kebab. Utensil with a metal grate, parallel metal bars, for cooking over a fire. Grill. Portable shelter of canvas held up by poles, rope, and pegs. Tent. A small square of cloth or paper. Serviette. A container, vessel, or apparatus for cooling. Cooler. Furniture intended for use outside in the yard. Lawn furniture. A round bun shaped to hold a hamburger patty. Hamburger bun.
Let's try that faster.
A round bun shaped to hold a hamburger patty. Hamburger bun. A meal cooked out of doors over an open fire. Barbecue. A container, vessel, or apparatus for cooling. Cooler. Be soaked in marinade. Marinate. Utensil with a metal grate, parallel metal bars, for cooking over a fire. Grill. Portable shelter of canvas held up by poles, rope, and pegs. Tent. Pieces of roasted meat, fish, and vegetables on a skewer. Kebab. Furniture intended for use outside in the yard. Lawn furniture. A group of 12. Dozen. A small square of cloth or paper. Serviette.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Barbecue. How about we have a barbecue tomorrow night? Barbecue. In the summertime at dinner, there is always the smell of someone in our neighborhood having a barbecue. Barbecue. Can you smell the barbecue? My mouth is watering. Marinate. Marinated steaks are much more tasty and juicier than regular steaks. Marinate. The only thing I know about my friend's secret recipe is that she marinates the chicken breasts overnight. Marinate. Marinating meat makes the meat more tender. Lawn furniture. We have a whole bunch of lawn furniture and a swimming pool in our backyard. Lawn furniture. The home store down the road is having a sale on lawn furniture. Lawn furniture. The party ended abruptly when people started throwing the lawn furniture into the pool. Grill. My favorite food is steak done on the grill. Grill. After you finish cutting up the vegetables, wrap them in some aluminum foil and place it on top of the grill. Grill. You should always clean the grill after you use it. Cooler. We brought a cooler with us to the beach so that we could keep the drinks and the sandwich meat cold. Cooler. He filled up a cooler with ice and then placed the medical specimen carefully inside. Cooler. When we go camping, we always have a cooler or two to keep food cold.